What makes two airplanes, built by the same company, from the same family, feel like completely different machines? If you're someone who gets a rush just hearing the hum of a turbofan, or if you've ever pressed your face against an airport window just to watch a 737 taxi in, you already know airplanes are more than metal and rivets. They carry stories, they carry people, and sometimes they carry entire generations of trust. That's exactly why today's topic isn't just about aircraft specs. It's about two members of Boeing's most famous family, the 737 MAX 10 and the 737 MAX 7, and why 2026 is the year they'll be stepping into the spotlight together. One is the largest 737 ever built, the other is its smallest and most flexible sibling, and in just a few minutes you'll see exactly how they're different, what's new, and why both might just win your heart in their own way. So stick around until the very end, because the more you understand the soul of these airplanes, the more you'll see that size, speed, and even range aren't the whole story. The real reward is knowing which one speaks to you, as a passenger, as an aviation fan, or even as a future pilot. The Boeing 737 isn't just a plane, it's a legend. For more than 50 years, it's been carrying people across the globe, from small regional hops to busy transcontinental routes. In aviation psychology, there's something called the familiarity effect. The more we see a certain object or experience it without harm, the more comfortable and even affectionate we become toward it. That's why passengers who have flown dozens of times on 737 seconds often feel a subtle sense of calm when boarding one. The seats feel familiar. The cabin layout feels predictable. Even the way the doors close and the engines spool up, it's like hearing an old friend speak. But as any aviation lover knows, familiarity alone isn't enough. Airplanes must evolve. They must keep up with changing technology, passenger expectations, and airline economics. That's how the 737 evolved into the MAX family, a series of upgrades in efficiency, range, and passenger comfort, all built on that familiar foundation. The MAX series was Boeing's response to the Airbus A320neo family, and it was meant to do two things: cut fuel burn by up to 14% compared to older models, and give airlines flexibility with four distinct versions: MAX 7, MAX 8, MAX 9, and MAX 10. Each one has its own mission. And while all of them share the same DNA, the MAX 7 and MAX 10 stand at opposite ends of the lineup, both literally and figuratively. Here's where human psychology plays a role again. People tend to categorize objects at extremes. When we think of the biggest or the smallest in any family, whether it's cars, ships, or airplanes, our curiosity spikes. We want to know how far the limits go. In this case, the MAX 10 is the longest 737 ever built, designed to carry as many people as possible on short to medium routes with incredible efficiency. The MAX 7, on the other hand, is the shortest of the bunch, built to slip into airports with shorter runways, to connect smaller cities, and to go farther than you'd expect for its size. But why 2026? That's the moment both of these planes are expected to stand fully certified, commercially active, and ready to shape airline strategies in the late 2020s. Certification delays, design refinements, and safety reassurances have all led to this point. And for airplane lovers, it's the perfect storm of anticipation. You're not just looking at two airplanes, you're looking at two philosophies of design and operation colliding in the same year. Let's take a step back for a moment. The 737 MAX family faced its biggest test in the court of public opinion after the tragic crashes in 2018 and 2019. That period didn't just challenge Boeing's engineering, it tested trust, which is far more delicate than carbon fiber. Trust is an emotional currency, and in aviation, it's built through thousands of safe flights, transparent improvements, and clear communication. Boeing has spent years overhauling not just the systems that led to those tragedies, but the way it approaches certification, pilot training, and even passenger perception. Psychologically, this is called rebuilding credibility, and it happens in layers. First comes the technical fix, then the procedural change, and finally, the emotional reassurance. In 2026, the MAX 7 and MAX 10 will enter a market where that reassurance is not just desirable, it's essential. And this is where the excitement comes in for aviation fans. You get to see how two completely different aircraft sizes benefit from the same core upgrades. Both will have the LEAP 1 billion engines from CFM International. Both will carry advanced avionics that reduce pilot workload, and both will integrate cabin enhancements designed to improve passenger experience, from quieter engines to better lighting systems. But each will apply those features in dramatically different contexts. Think of it like this: the MAX 10 is the marathon runner of the family. It's built for maximum passenger loads, operating on high-demand routes where every seat filled means better economics. The MAX 7 is more like the nimble mountain climber, lighter, more flexible, able to reach places the bigger sibling can't, and capable of flying longer distances with fewer people on board. In human terms, one is a crowd mover, the other is an access granter. Both roles are equally vital in a connected world. By the time we dive deeper into each one in the coming sections, you'll not only know the technical specs, you'll feel the design choices behind them. Because in aviation, design is never just about numbers, it's about purpose. It's about matching the right aircraft to the right mission, and in 2026, those missions will be clearer than ever. So if you've ever wondered whether bigger automatically means better, or whether smaller means less capable, stay with me until the very end of this video. The real answer is far more fascinating. And as any true airplane lover knows, the magic of flight often lies in the details you can't see from the gate. When you put the Boeing 737 MAX 10 and the MAX 7 side by side, the first difference that catches the eye is their size. To an aviation fan, size isn't just about appearance. It's an immediate clue about purpose. The MAX 10 stretches out to just over 143 feet, making it the longest 737 ever built. The MAX 7, in contrast, measures around 116 feet, a compact frame that feels almost nimble when viewed from the tarmac. This length difference shapes everything. For the MAX 10, more fuselage means more seats, up to about 230 passengers in a single-class layout. Airlines flying busy routes like New York to Miami or London to Rome can fill those seats with ease, and the economics work beautifully. For the MAX 7, the smaller body is intentional. It typically carries around 138 passengers, giving it a sweet spot where load factors remain high, even in markets where demand is thinner. Here's where human psychology intersects with airline planning. In busy markets, passengers unconsciously expect larger aircraft. A bigger jet at the gate signals capacity, popularity, and a promise of choice. In smaller markets, however, a giant plane half-filled can make people question demand, safety, or even the route's future. That's why the MAX 7 scale works in its favor. It fits the narrative of a route that's perfectly matched to its audience. Range tells another story. The MAX 10 has a range of about 3,300 nautical miles. It's ideal for dense, short to medium-haul flights where frequency and capacity matter more than extreme distance. The MAX 7 goes farther, roughly 3,850 nautical miles, despite its smaller size. This extra range lets it connect cities that larger planes might skip due to operational limits or market size. Picture it landing at an airport with a shorter runway in a mountainous region, or linking secondary cities across continents. And yet, range isn't just a number on a specification sheet. From a passenger's point of view, range translates to opportunity, the possibility of reaching destinations that feel less connected. Psychologically, there's a sense of exclusivity when boarding a flight to a unique city that doesn't require a big crowded hub transfer. For airlines, it means the ability to expand networks in ways that feel personal, not just commercial. The design goals of each aircraft reinforce these roles. The MAX 10 was built with competition in mind, specifically the Airbus A321neo, which dominates the high-capacity single-aisle market. Boeing's mission was clear: match or surpass the economics per seat while keeping the 737 feet's familiar operating systems for pilots and maintenance crews. That familiarity is a psychological advantage for airlines, reducing training costs and preserving pilot confidence. The MAX 7's design is rooted in flexibility. It can serve high-altitude airports, short runways, and long distances without needing the infrastructure of major hubs. This flexibility isn't just technical, it's emotional. Pilots appreciate the control and agility it offers, and passengers often feel a subtle difference in comfort when a smaller aircraft operates in challenging conditions with ease. Operational costs are another dividing line. In high-density configurations, the MAX 10 offers some of the lowest cost per seat mile in the single-aisle market. That's music to an airline's financial team, but it also trickles down to passengers through competitive fares on busy routes. The MAX 7, carrying fewer people, can't match those exact economics per seat, but it wins in route viability. Without aircraft like the MAX 7, many smaller routes wouldn't exist at all, or would be served by less efficient regional jets. In aviation psychology, there's a principle known as mission fit. It's the satisfaction that comes from knowing a machine is perfectly suited to the job at hand. The MAX 10 fits the mission of moving large numbers of people quickly between high-demand cities. The MAX 7 fits the mission of connecting places others overlook. Each one fulfills its role with precision, and for airplane lovers, that's the beauty of diversity within a single family of aircraft. Even the boarding experience feels different. Stepping into a MAX 10, the cabin stretches far ahead, rows upon rows, creating the impression of space and movement. On the MAX 7, the cabin feels more contained, almost intimate, with fewer passengers and a quieter boarding process. Both use the Boeing Sky interior, sculpted sidewalls, larger windows, and LED mood lighting, but the perception changes with scale. In psychology, this is known as context framing. The same features feel different depending on the environment around them. Runway performance adds another layer to the comparison. The MAX 7's shorter length and lighter weight give it the ability to operate from runways as short as 5,000 feet under certain conditions. That opens up airports in remote or geographically challenging locations. The MAX 10, while efficient on standard-length runways, needs more space to take off fully loaded. For passengers, this difference might not be obvious, but for airline planners, it's the key that unlocks or limits entire markets. Airline branding strategies often reflect these differences too. The MAX 10 becomes the flagship workhorse for domestic trunk routes, the ones that appear on billboards and in advertising, carrying hundreds at a time. The MAX 7, meanwhile, often becomes a symbol of accessibility, quietly serving routes that may never make headlines but carry deep local importance. Both aircraft share the advanced LEAP 1 billion engines, promising lower fuel burn and reduced noise. That's not just a technical feature, it's a comfort factor. Quieter cabins influence passenger perception of safety and modernity. People equate silence with refinement, and refinement with progress. For aviation fans, hearing that softer engine tone while knowing the thrust capability is still there creates a unique kind of satisfaction. Looking at their place in the broader airline network, the MAX 10 and MAX 7 aren't rivals, they're complementary tools. Airlines that operate both can cover a wide spectrum of markets without leaving efficiency on the table. And for those who love airplanes, that versatility is a reminder of why design variations exist in the first place. It's not about one aircraft being better than the other. It's about building the right aircraft for the right journey. Every time a MAX 10 lifts off packed with passengers heading for a busy city, and every time a MAX 7 slips into a small regional airport miles from the nearest hub, both are proving the same truth. Aviation isn't one size fits all. It's a network of different needs, answered by different machines, all connected by the same passion for flight. By 2026, the Boeing 737 MAX 10 and MAX 7 will not just be different in size and mission, they'll also be the most refined versions of themselves. Both aircraft have gone through years of development, testing, and adjustments to meet the strict demands of global regulators and, equally important, the expectations of the flying public. One of the most significant updates is in the realm of safety systems. After the MAX grounding, Boeing worked closely with the FAA, EASA, and other authorities to redesign the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System known as MCAS. This wasn't a small tweak. The revised system now takes data from multiple sensors instead of just one, reducing the chance of false readings. It also gives pilots clearer alerts and manual control authority. To aviation enthusiasts, this is more than just a technical fix. It's an assurance that lessons have been learned and applied at the deepest level. From a psychological perspective, visible safety enhancements create a sense of trust, even among passengers who may not fully understand the engineering. Humans respond to signals of transparency and improvement. When airlines communicate these changes, either through training videos, press releases, or even subtle in-flight announcements, they're not just sharing information, they're rebuilding emotional confidence in the machine. Avionics have also seen meaningful upgrades. Both the MAX 10 and MAX 7 will benefit from advanced flight management systems that help pilots optimize routes for fuel efficiency and time savings. The flight deck remains familiar to 737 pilots, which is crucial for operational continuity, but now includes more intuitive displays, improved warning systems, and automation that reduces workload in high-stress situations. For pilots, these refinements tap into what psychologists call cognitive ease, the mental comfort that comes from working with tools that feel both familiar and improved. This combination reduces errors and increases satisfaction, which can translate into smoother operations and, indirectly, a better passenger experience. Inside the cabin, the updates are just as intentional. Both aircraft feature the Boeing Sky interior, but the lighting systems are now more adaptable, able to adjust color temperature to match different phases of the flight. Warm tones during boarding create a welcoming atmosphere, cooler light during cruise supports alertness, and soft hues before landing help passengers prepare for arrival. Research in human factors shows that light, color, and intensity can subtly influence mood and reduce the sense of fatigue on longer flights. Seating configurations will vary by airline. but the MAX cabin layout supports thinner, ergonomically designed seats that maintain comfort while increasing available space. Overhead bins are larger, allowing most carry-on bags to be stored wheels first, which speeds up boarding and reduces the stress passengers often feel when storage space runs out. The psychology here is simple. When small irritations are removed, the overall journey feels more positive, even if the major aspects like schedule or ticket price remain the same. Noise reduction has also been a focus. The LEAP 1 billion engines, already efficient, have been fine-tuned to further lower cabin noise levels. Quieter flights matter more than most passengers realize. Studies in environmental psychology show that lower noise not only improves perceived comfort but also reduces the feeling of time dragging during a journey. This is one reason passengers often describe newer aircraft as feeling faster, even when the cruise speed hasn't changed. On the efficiency front, both aircraft are designed to run on blends of sustainable aviation fuel (SAF), part of Boeing's broader commitment to reducing the industry's carbon footprint. While SAF adoption is still in early stages globally, having compatibility built into the aircraft ensures that airlines can transition more easily as supply increases. For aviation enthusiasts, sustainability features aren't just environmental, they're a sign of future readiness. There's a growing appreciation for machines that can adapt to the evolving demands of their era. Aerodynamic refinements also play a role. Subtle changes to the winglets, engine nacelles, and landing gear doors help reduce drag, squeezing out extra fuel savings. These are the kinds of details that might go unnoticed by casual observers but are deeply satisfying to those who study aircraft design. The knowledge that every curve and surface has been engineered for purpose adds to the aircraft's appeal in the eyes of enthusiasts. Another key 2026 update is in connectivity. Airlines have more options to install faster in-flight Wi-Fi systems using newer satellite technology for more stable connections. While this isn't unique to the MAX family, the design supports easy integration. In behavioral terms, reliable connectivity changes how passengers perceive time spent in the air. Productive or entertained passengers report higher satisfaction, even if the flight duration is exactly the same. These updates also serve the airlines in ways that passengers may not see. Advanced health monitoring systems now feed real-time data from the aircraft to ground crews, allowing predictive maintenance. This reduces unscheduled downtime and keeps flights operating on schedule. Passengers may only notice this indirectly, fewer delays, fewer cancellations, but it reinforces the perception of reliability, one of the most powerful drivers of brand loyalty in aviation. For the MAX 10 and MAX 7, all these changes converge on the same goal: making the flying experience safer, more comfortable, and more efficient, without losing the identity that has made the 737 a household name. The combination of technical refinement and psychological reassurance creates an experience that appeals both to the head and the heart. In aviation history, some aircraft earn their place through raw performance, others through the comfort they deliver, and some through their sheer longevity. The 737 family is rare in that it combines all three. The MAX 10 and MAX 7, stepping fully into service in 2026, will carry forward that legacy with a blend of proven design and new capabilities. For those who follow airplanes not just as machines but as evolving stories, these updates aren't just features, they're chapters in a much larger narrative of flight. And as each new MAX takes off with these enhancements, it isn't just traveling from one airport to another, it's traveling from one era of aviation into the next, carrying with it the hard-earned trust, the engineering advancements, and the subtle touches that make flying something more than transportation. It makes it an experience worth remembering.